inch, play-by-play, till we're finished. We're in hell right now, gentlemen, believe me. And we can stay here, get the shit kicked out of us, or we can fight our way back into the light. We can climb out of hell. 1 inch at a time. You know, when you get old in life, things get taken from you. I mean, that's part of life. But you only learn that when you start losing stuff. You find out life's this game of inches. So is football. Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, 1/2 a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us. They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second. On this team, we fight for that inch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw our fingernails for that inch. Because we know when we add up all those inches, that's going to make the fucking difference between winning and losing. Between living and dying. I'll tell you this, in any fight, it's the guy who's willing to die who's going to win that inch. And I know if I'm going to have any life anymore, it's because I'm still willing to fight and die for that inch. Because that's what living is. There's 6 inches in front of your face. Now, I can't make you do it. You got to look at the guy next to you. Look into his eyes. Now, I think you're going to see a guy who will go that inch with you. You're going to see a guy who will sacrifice himself for this team because he knows when it comes down to it, you're going to do the same for him. That's a team, gentlemen. And either we heal now as a team, or we will die as individuals.
Ideas are bulletproof.
Welcome to the show, guys. It is Wednesday, August 24th, 2011. This is Down the Rabbit Hole, and I'm your host, Popeye, from FederalJack.com. Joining me tonight is my good friend, and he's been on the show before, so I have to say, I don't want to say regular guest, but we'll say past and returning guest. And he will be on more often, as much as I can get him on, the time allows, because he is a very busy man. Please welcome to the show Dan Dix from Press for Truth in Canada. Dan, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up, man? Thanks a lot for having me on again. It's great to be here.
No problem, man. Thank you for coming on again. As always, every time you come on, you're in between visits, there's been 1,001 different things that you're up to, because you're just a super busy individual. So, let's start off with your impending visit to the South Korean Film Festival you're going to?
Yes, yeah, that was some news that came in just a little while ago that we've been, for our film, Into the Fire, been accepted into a Korean film festival. So they've graciously offered to bring me down there to attend the festival, which is pretty awesome. I'm pretty excited about the trip. The really wild thing about this is the festival is going to be held in a place called the DMZ, the Demilitarized Zone. It's like this small strip of land along the border of South and North Korea that they kind of jointly own it. And so that's where this film festival is going to be taking place. So I'm pretty excited to be going down in an area like that. This border is apparently the most highly militarized border in the entire world, and I'm going to be presenting my film on the police state down there because obviously they're very interested in it. They just had the G20 summit come to Seoul, Korea, right after it was in Toronto. So they're very interested in the film, enough that they're going to bring me down there. So that's not until September. I go there September 22nd to the 28th. So it's a little ways away yet, but yeah, I'm super excited for that.
Are you going to be? You said you're going to be covering the international, I guess, investigation into 9/11, correct? Now that's going to be in Canada, or where's that going to be?
Yeah. It's being held in Toronto at Ryerson University. It's a 4-day event. Takes place September 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. And if anybody wants more information on that, they can go to torontohearings.org. But the people putting it on have asked that we cover the event, and so we'll be putting out videos as soon as we can, and then depending on, I suppose, how the hearings go and what kind of interviews we get and what sort of footage we get, we might throw together a short film on the 10th anniversary for 9/11. So we also have that coming up next month. So September is looking to be a busy month, and I just found out today, actually, that I got something else coming up in September now. I've been invited to take part in a television program for MTV. They want to shoot a show about rioting, and they want to get some panelists on to give our opinions on what's going on in regards to that. So yeah, I just got that email today, so that's pretty cool too. All these things are all coming up in September, so I'm looking forward to it.
And having you on that panel will be awesome because you'll be able to interject some truth and some real issues into there. Not allow them to hijack it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know who exactly is going to be on the panel with me, but I'm going to have to be there to inject some truth into the, it's the MTV generation. It's they use that program to brainwash people, but I'm more than willing to hop on there to help combat that situation. So they had me on there last year, actually, for a special on the G20, and they liked what I had to say, so they decided to bring me back. So it's pretty cool.
And just so that most of my listeners know who you are, Dan, but for some of the new listeners that might not know who Dan is, the reason why they would invite him is because Dan has, not only has he made movies, but he's got a brass set of balls that wouldn't fit in a dump truck. And he stood out, and, he went and he started seeing Alex Jones movies when he was younger, and he started realizing what the New World Order was doing and everything else, and he did what anybody should do, and he stood up, and he created Press for Truth. He joined up with other Canadians that are tired of the New World Order, and over the past few years, they have become like the place to go to in Canada if you want to find out what's going on, truth-wise. If you want to find out lies, just turn on CBC. If you want to find out the truth, go to Press for Truth. And Dan's put his ass on the line multiple times, and that's why I say he's got a brass set of balls. Because, if you just watch one of his films, just watch G20. Like I said the last time I had him on, that movie gave me an anxiety attack just watching it, because you can feel how fast Canada turned into a police state. And it's scary because if you think about it, Canada, as I said to you, Dan, you guys hold yourselves to a higher standard than you would consider, Americans would when it comes to like how you behave and, acting towards one another and not beating each other down. I have a lot of Canadian friends that used to joke and say, your cops are out of control, they're atrocious and everything else. And then after the G20 up there, they were like, wow, ours are no better.
Yeah, I think the G20 here was really a big eye-opener for a lot of Canadians, really. People around here didn't realize just how bad it was until everything started happening around them, and all you had to do was walk out of your house and walk into the streets during that particular weekend. And it's very easy to see that there's something very, very wrong going on in this country, and it all manifested and culminated into this unbelievable weekend here in Toronto. And yeah, like you said, we documented the whole thing and put together the film is called Into the Fire, and we just tried to kind of document the whole event chronologically throughout the whole weekend. Got as much footage as we could, did as many interviews as we could, and tried to put together a comprehensive, into a 2-hour package to basically show what went on. But yeah, like I said, I think it was a bit of a wake-up call for a lot of people around here in Canada, that's for sure.
Without a doubt. I mean, I've been able to, that movie alone, I've been able to wake up Americans with that, because I'm like, look, if Canada could go through that, look how fast they violated their civil rights. And then you show them footage from our G20 in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
It's like, look, do you see any discernible difference? No. Two separate countries, and the cops are both acting the same way, like stormtroopers. So there's a reason for that. It's more of a global problem. I gotta put you on hold for a second, Dan. Stay right there. Guys, stay tuned. We'll be right back. I gotta go pay the bills. Well, not really me. Orion's gotta go pay the bills. We're back, guys. Before we were rudely interrupted by the break, Dan was about to tell us about another new feature that him and the guys at Press for Truth, I think just you, though, have been doing them right now, but I know you guys are all gearing up with a whole bunch of new stuff. You're getting into video blogs now, like a weekly thing, right? You're uploading to your YouTube channel now?
Yeah, that's right. This whole process for me, this whole journey, if you will, I've constantly been trying to kick it up a notch. Every now and then I'll feel like I've reached like I kind of flatten out, and sometimes I just feel like it's time to do something more and take it to a whole nother level. And I guess it was about 2 months ago I was kind of feeling like that, and I thought, the next logical step, I suppose, is to add some consistency and just to provide something on a regular basis. So the idea was, I just wanted to pick a day of the week and make sure that we have something to come out every week, once a week. And for now, it's been a lot of video blogs I've been doing. Today we put out a little video that we edited of just walking around downtown Toronto. But basically every Wednesday, we're going to continue to just do our best to put something out there. I mean, there's so many things going on in the world, and I think the vlogs are a great way for me to just speak my mind. I mean, a lot of the things in Press for Truth are, we stick to the facts, but as far as the vlogs go, it's an opportunity for me to give more of my opinions and my beliefs and those sorts of things. And it's been going well so far. I've been enjoying it, and we're just gonna keep it up and keep going with it.
I personally, I'm a subscriber to your YouTube channel, and I personally like your little video blogs because it's like a personal touch. You're still reporting, but you're kind of like reaching out and talking to the people, your listeners, your followers, whatever you want to call them, and that's pretty cool. That you're not just sitting behind a camera. You're not just a voice behind a camera. Now you're giving a face to the name. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's there's no editing involved, no music. It's just straight up unedited. Just kind of my thoughts about whatever happens to be going on in that particular week. I'm liking the format, and I'm going to do my best to keep it going. Sometimes I obviously get busy, and then it makes it hard to do it, but it's not really that hard. It's only 5-10 minutes a week, really. So I'm really enjoying it. So we're gonna keep it up. And again, every now and then we might put out one of our regular kind of videos where we'll cover, a whole variety of type of topics that might come up. But so every Wednesday it'll either be a video like we've always been doing, or a video blog to talk about whatever's going on.
And what's the name of your YouTube channel, just so the listeners can subscribe to it themselves and get your updates and everything?
Sure, it's Weaving Spider. It's all one word, youtube.com/Weaving Spider. That's actually the motto from the Bohemian Grove, where their motto is "Weaving Spiders come not here." So back when I picked the channel, I was looking into that topic a lot again at that time, so I thought it was a clever little name to pick. It's youtube.com/Weaving Spider. And, again, the website's pressfortruth.ca. We're really, it's a trio. We're a team. It's myself, Stephen Davies, and Brian Law. And, the three of us are working our butts off to make Press for Truth work. So, yeah, that's
well, you guys are doing a hell of a job, okay? So from an American brother in arms, you guys are doing a hell of a job. Press for Truth is phenomenal. I always tell people if they're not sure, if they haven't heard about you, I'm like, look, Press for Truth is kind of like it's like Canada's version of Luke, Luke Radowski, and you're that well known. You make that much of an impact, whether you guys think you do or not. You do make that much of an impact. Right? I don't know any truther that, or whatever you want to call them, patriot. There's not any of them that I don't know that haven't seen one of your films, or especially Into the Fire. That thing is just all over the place. It blew up, and everybody that saw that movie was just stunned. Right.
Yeah. Well, it's really encouraging for me to hear that, and we're starting to get a feeling that that's what's happening. So it really only encourages me to just want to do this more. Lately these days when I walk around, in downtown Toronto, I'm getting recognized all the time, and it's nice when people say, "Hey man, like your work, I appreciate what you're doing, keep it up." And when those things happen, it really encourages me to just want to continue doing this because it's starting to look like we're having a bit of effect. So it's not exactly easy to make it to that point. So we're honored to be at the point that we're at right now.
Well, you guys deserve it, man. You guys really go out there and pound the pavement, and you've all gotten hassled by police. I personally love when you stand there, the cops are like, "Can I see an ID?" You're like, "No."
Yeah.
You're just very confident, and you're like, "No." That's inspiring to other people, Dan. When people see, 1,000 people could see your movie, and 500 people will see it and go, "Wow." Now I see this guy doing it. Now I have the courage to go out and do it. And that's what it's all about. So
yeah,
that's why you guys are so powerful, because you're three guys that got together and said, "Enough is enough. We're going to fight the mainstream media." And I mean, you guys, again, grassroots organization, and look how powerful you become. They have to notice your message now. They don't have any other choice.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, man. And like I said, it's encouraging, and there's no way that we're going to be slowing down anytime soon. I can guarantee that. So,
Are you working on any new films?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're going to start focusing on this. Just in a couple weeks, the 10th anniversary of the September 11th attack. So we're going to focus on that for a little bit, depending on how the hearings go and how the interviews go. And besides that, we've had a few other things in the works for quite some time. We're still periodically working on a little short doc about Freemasonry. So those are a couple things that are on the go. But no deadline, no dates set or anything like that. But yeah, definitely more documentaries are certainly on the table.
I got a question for you. Have you ever heard of Pro-Funk?
No.
Check this out. Okay, I found this out actually from Jack Blood's webmistress. She's a Canadian. She works up in Canada, and her name's Kristen. And she sent me this video a long time ago about Pro-Funk. It was the Canadian Rex 84 for World War II that they had, and then they kept it into I think it was the late 50s, 60s or something, and then they I know eventually got abolished. And there was one politician, I think it was back in the 90s, he got confronted on Canadian TV about it or whatever. Go check it out. It's called Pro-Funk. It was put out, the CBC put out the little documentary on it. It's really creepy, dude. It was like your version of Rex 84, but back during World War II.
Huh. Yeah, I'll have to check that out for sure.
Yeah, and there's not many Canadians even know about it because, they just abolished, they just got rid of the law and then kept it, they picked up the rug, swept it underneath, and dropped the rug back down.
Right.
So it doesn't surprise me that they would, do the same thing, the same kind of police state tactics that they did during the G20. We'll get into that and more when we come back. Stay tuned, guys. We got another half hour with Dan Dix. Go check out his website, pressfortruth.ca. We'll be right back. We're back, guys. In the chat room for the chatters, in case you're wondering what that link is, I put a link to the Weather Channel so you could see the latest satellite imagery of the Category 4 massive monster hurricane that is sitting right off of my eastern coast and already starting to lap at me and throw some wind at us. So I just thought I'd show you what we're dealing with and what poor Dan and the rest of the people up in New York are going to be dealing with in about 3 days. Right, Dan?
Yeah, apparently this one's on the way. Right now, actually, I'm looking out my window, and it's like a strobe light out here. The lightning is unbelievable. We got tornado warnings tonight. We're right in the middle of a pretty big storm right now, actually.
Dan, are you guys used to crazy weather up there in Toronto? Like, if this storm comes up by you guys, are you used to having hurricanes up there?
Not so much. No, not at all. Not Toronto. Toronto doesn't see a whole lot of that. I do remember, though, oh man, must be about 10 years ago, that this one time we got so much snow in Toronto that, I mean, you can only keep pushing it off to the sides of the roads. It'll just keep piling up, that they had to call in the Army for help. I remember this one winter where there was all these Army trucks driving around Toronto just to ship the snow out of the city. But that's the only time that I can remember anything.
Well, that's a lot of snow.
Like that.
When you got to ship snow out of the city?
There was truckloads and truckloads and truckloads of snow just being shipped out of the city, and they called in the Army to do it. Yeah, I'll never forget that one.
Well, see, that's a constructive use of the military, to have them,
yeah.
You know, if there's a civil emergency and you need them to come in and dig snow out or, you know, stuff like that, that's the only use that they're supposed to be used for inside this country. They're not supposed to come in with their machine guns.
Yep. Nope,
but did they shoot the snow, Dan? Did they come in with their guns drawn and get up, get in the truck?
yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if some of that went on, but yeah, I mean that's the only time I'm ever going to want to see troops walking around in my streets. That's for sure. And if they're shoveling snow, and that's about it.
Yeah, dude. You know, when the military is used, it should be used. Look, I was a firefighter. We worked with the National Guard during national emergencies, natural disasters, multiple times. And they never came out with machine guns ablazing or anything. They just sometimes they rolled out with 6x, the big deuce and a half, the 6-wheel drive trucks. But they didn't come out with an M1 Abrams tank, you know, with a flamethrower on the top and a coaxial machine gun. We're here for your safety. We're here for your safety. Just get back in your house. You know? I have a question about the G20. Has any of those cops been brought to justice for what they did? I mean, I know because of your film and the other people on YouTube, I know that there was some light brought onto it, and then eventually they found out that law they were using to arrest people, the being close to the fence or whatever the hell it was, that wasn't even real, right? That wasn't even put into law?
Yeah, absolutely. A few things did come out and from people seeing the film. We basically broke the story with a guy named Sean Salvati and the whole situation that he went through. And after the film was released, they saw that we had filed Access to Information Act requests to obtain footage of inside of the detention center there. So this individual ended up doing the same thing, and he managed to get his footage, and it made mainstream news around here about a month or two back, where this guy was, you know, beaten up and strip searched, and in the footage they show him kind of being paraded around in 52 Division down here in Toronto, completely naked. They're walking him around in front of, female
That's the guy that
officers
said good luck tomorrow or something, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's
Okay.
right.
Yeah, I saw the video about that.
Yeah. And then, other things have been happening. Another police officer was charged with assault with a weapon for hitting a guy and kind of breaking his cheekbone with a baton. So he's been charged with assault with a weapon. Another officer has recently just been charged as well. So things are still coming together, but man, is it ever a slow process? It's
that
taken a
blue
while,
wall of
but
silence, Dan. You know how that is.
That's it.
You've had your own experience with the cops. You know exactly what that is. The blue wall of silence, dude. They don't rat on each other, even if they're in the wrong.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think they're trying to make sure that as much time goes by as possible so that they're hoping people will just forget about it, and that's why it's still important to this point. I know it's been a year, but it's still incredibly important to raise awareness about what happened here. And that's why we appreciate people still sending the links out to the film, because the film contains all the information pretty much that people need to see. And because we're never going to get a full federal public inquiry into these events unless enough Canadians are aware that just how bad it was. So it has been over a year, but we just need to continue to push forward.
Well, it's like all these other issues. They're important to continue. Even if 50 years from now it's not handled, it needs to be pushed. That's what they
Absolutely.
do. They drag stuff out so that people forget and that it's not important anymore because other things come up and people forget. And then the people that did the deed, they maybe get a little bit of bad spotlight or a slap on the wrist, but they get attaboys for putting up with it. They get a house, or they get thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, or whatever the hell they get. They get benefits down the road. And it's the little guys. Like, the perfect example is that older gentleman, I forget his name. He was a government worker. He was just out with his wife and his kid, the guy with the prosthetic leg.
Yeah, John Prine.
Yeah, they beat the crap out of this guy and take his leg and abuse him, and he didn't do anything wrong. He did nothing wrong. I mean, this was your typical, I go to work every day, I pay my taxes, Canadian, and he worked for the government. He was a good guy. And, they don't care. They don't care. They're animals.
Absolutely. That's one of the stories that continually shocks people when they see the film. They say, oh, my God, I can't believe what they did to that guy. They ripped his fake leg off and wouldn't give it back and told him that it might be used as a weapon or that he might have a weapon inside of it. And, oh, man, the guy's in his 60s, and they dragged him across the pavement, and that's one of the stories in the film that's really touching for people, because it's just terrible what happened to him and many others.
It's horrible, dude. I'm gonna tell you what. If that were my father, they would have had to arrest me because I would have been swinging at the cops. My father's he's about 69. He's a Vietnam vet. If I ever saw now, he can handle his own. He's still he's a spry 69. Okay, but he. If I would lose it, because to me that's disrespectful. You don't manhandle old people like that. Back when I was a kid, and I know it's the whole militarization of police started before that, but when I was a kid, at least there were still cops that knew how to treat people. Like I'm in my mid-30s, so I remember a day when the older cops, the cops that were in their 30s, 40s when I was a kid. So these guys were older school, they come from they grew up in like the early 40s. So the New World Order hadn't tainted everybody yet. And back then if an older gentleman or older woman got arrested, they didn't handcuff them all the time. Sometimes they would just make them sit in the car, and you'd see an old lady sit in the car with her hands on her lap or something, and they would do the same thing to an old man. Now, if he posed a threat by trying to run or something, then they would handcuff him. Nowadays, you get zip-tied with plastic zip ties like you're a piece of cattle, and you get manhandled. And they zip-tie your hands so tight. All the time you see people losing circulation on their hands because their hands are turning purple because the blood's just building up in their hands. They can't get back up because they got the zip tie too tight, and the cops are, shut up. Deal with it.
Well, what they said to John Prine when he was complaining about being in pain from being pulled across the pavement is they said, well, you should have thought of that before you came here. It's a typical statement that was coming from many of the police here, is just that. You should have thought of that before you came here. It's just despicable. And like you said, a long time ago, I mean, cops were very much looked up to, and you could, people would look up to them in the time that they would fulfill their serve part of the serve and protect, helping old ladies across the street and just being good guys, but that's all changed now, and now they're wearing ski masks and looking like thugs, and something serious needs to change.
Yeah, man, they went from being like, come here, ma'am, let me help you to, across the street. Now they come up, they hop out of their car, and they beat the old lady with a nightstick and then throw her in the back of the car and arrest her for assaulting them. We're going to break. We'll be right back, guys.
Outrageous conspiracy theories concerning the attacks of September the 11th. Malicious lies that attempt to shift the blame away from the terrorists themselves, away from the guilty.
That's right. George Bush is telling you right there. You hear what he just said? He said, listen, don't believe the government's conspiracy theory that 19 schmucks in a cave with a laptop could outwit NORAD. No. You should believe the official story. Not the official story, the real story, which is that the government either aided and abetted at the very least, or, at the very worst, created the monsters. And once you research it, you know that it's not even to the point where they just look the other way. Michael Springman's testimony, the guy from the State Department, when he said that when he worked there, some of the hijackers, they had gotten their visas there, and he said, these guys are flagged, and can't do it. And his higher-up said, give them their visas. Now, a lot of people would go, well, why would he do that? Well, if you've ever listened to what I say, and you've read some of the books I've told you to go read, and you have read The Secret Team by Colonel L. Fletcher Prouty, he explains in the book that the CIA has at least one individual in every department, every government agency. And their coworkers will completely think they work for the State Department, whatever. In this case, Springman worked for the State Department issuing visas. His boss was obviously a CIA spook. And even though he said, look, these guys, terrorists, shady individuals at the very least, they don't qualify for visas. He was told by his higher-ups to give them visas. So that shows you that there was more than just, look the other way. That shows you that they had to unlock and open the door for these guys to come in. So that means inside job, end of story. Anyway, getting back to the G20 really quick. Dan, during the break, you and I were talking about the fact that you're pretty well known now by the cops up in Toronto at the very least. And I would assume all over Canada they probably have your picture up in their station.
Yeah, I think I'm somewhat on the radar now, just a bit.
Well, if they if they give you snide comments and stuff, or they're rude to you, they shouldn't have a problem if they actually watch their own actions. It shouldn't be. Their anger shouldn't be directed at you for showing it. I mean, that's always kill the messenger. Their anger should be directed at themselves for acting like schmucks. It shouldn't be. It's amazing how it's always like, get mad at the photographer because he videotaped it, but don't get mad at yourself for actually acting like the ass. Like, don't actually deal with where the blame lies. It's part of this culture of passing the buck and blaming other people, and then therefore taking stuff out. And, I could tell you what, I have friends that are cops, and they've told me flat out there are days they've gotten to work, they had a fight with their wife or their girlfriend before they went to work. That's the worst thing in the world. Because you know what? That cop has a fight with his wife or his girlfriend. He's going to go to work. Who do you think he's going to take his anger out on?
Yeah.
Who do you think gets it? You think his wife is going to get it? No. He has to live with her. So who do you think's going to get treated like crap? Whoever he comes in contact with on the shift. Now, not all police are like that, but about, I'd say 95% of them nowadays are, which is sad.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure. Yeah, we can't let all these bad ones speak for the whole. There are still a lot of good cops around here. I've even gotten an email once from a police officer here in Toronto who told me that him and a number of other guys, about 4 other guys in his particular division, are completely supportive of what I do. I got this email and the guy says, you know what, just want to let you know, me and about 4 other guys down here, we've seen your stuff and we support what you do. And just want to let you know, if you ever need anything, we can help you. So there are a lot of good cops out there who are waking up to the reality of what's going on. I've even had some young people contact me and say they were thinking about getting into the force. That was what they wanted to do. But ever since seeing the stuff that I've done, they've now changed their mind and decided that they don't want to be a part. So yeah, we can't let the bad guys speak for the whole, because there's still a lot of good cops around here.
Yeah, there are. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to wake up the good cops, and there are a lot of people. Let me tell you something. There's a lot of people awake in the military. They know what's going on. And I know cops that have said, if I see foreign troops coming in here, it's on like Donkey Kong. And these are sheriff's officers, police, regular cops. So these are guys that know what's going on. They realize that to a certain degree, maybe they feel a little powerless. I try to empower them, by waking them up and giving them more knowledge. But even without being awake to 9/11 or anything else, they realize something is up. So people are more accepting of knowledge. I find nowadays too. I find people wake up a lot easier, especially, and they're more receptive. It's like compared to 4 years ago. Between 2008 and now, it's a complete difference.
Oh, big time, big time. Even it was 10 years ago. I remember talking about a lot of this stuff a long time ago, and just the looks on people's faces, and nobody, things have certainly changed. There's a massive, massive global awakening happening all over the world, and it's happening exponentially. And we are still, the movement still is in its infancy, and there's a lot of change that's coming around the corner. But like you said, it's hopeful, it's positive. People are waking up in record numbers, and it's happening exponentially. So
it grows by thousands every day, literally.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which is awesome, and it's due in part to people like yourself, Dan. Actually, a large part of it is grassroots organizations like yourself getting up and having the courage to face down cops with guns and batons and shields and sound weapons with nothing more than a camera. And now, that's why they act like you're a friggin' terrorist now if you have a camera in your hands, because, I don't know if you heard, I think it was a congressman or a senator here in the States had a town hall meeting last night or the night before, and he ordered the police to remove everybody's cell phones and cameras. But they didn't tell the mainstream media to get out. So the mainstream media recorded them doing all this completely highly illegal activity. He just said, we don't want an embarrassing YouTube video up. So here's the guy, instead of the guy not being a schmuck or not being a sellout and actually doing his duty, okay, he would rather be his sellout piece of crap self and just not have anybody record it and put it on YouTube because he doesn't want to get emails saying you're a sellout or anything like that. There's the death of freedom of speech right there.
Well, they know what's going on right now. Didn't Hillary Clinton recently say that, we're engaged in an information war, and we are currently losing that war? I believe I saw a clip of Hillary Clinton saying that not long ago.
About a month and a half ago, she asked Congress for money because she says, we're losing this information war. And they are. Of course they are, because she just admitted that the mainstream media is a propaganda tool and that they're getting their asses handed to them by the alternative media. And we're kicking their butts, dude, and we're not going to stop. We have just begun, and we will give no quarter to this old draconian loser disorder that calls themselves the New World Order. There's nothing new about it, and there's nothing orderly about it by any means.
Yeah, absolutely. We outnumber them. There's far many more of us than there are of them. Their system is set up in a pyramidal structure with they have themselves perched at the top, but it's a very fragile system because when enough people step out of this system at the bottom, the base of this structure, the whole thing's going to come crumbling down like a house of cards. So they think they're on top, and at the same time, it's very fragile, and I think they realize that too.
Yeah, it's like Ike says, if you step out from the bottom of the pyramid, it'll collapse. Because we're the ones holding it up. Look, we're holding it up. We're the ones giving them their power. We have to stop saying that we have no power, because that's what gives them their power. We have to say no. We are all equal. Do they fly around, with a cape on and have lasers shoot out of their eyes, and are they bulletproof? No. They're the same people. They're not Superman. You know what I'm saying? They're not from Krypton and come down here from, maybe some of them are reptiles, who the hell knows. But, really, they're not superhumans or anything. They bleed just like us. They get sick just like we do. They go to the bathroom just like we do.
Yeah.
So why are they better than us, Dan? They're not, right? I don't think they are.
Absolutely not. And every single civilization that has ever existed that has tried to pull this off has always ended up toppling in the end. And it's certainly no different today. It's really just a matter of time.
Exactly. We have the power, okay? And so I say this all the time. It's like the end of the Matrix. We need to put our hand up, and you say no. When they fire, honestly, we can't put our hands up and stop bullets, just so some of the listeners don't actually try that, okay? But, it's a way of looking at things. You have to say no. You have to stop coalescing to everything. You have to start to push back. Every little thing. Like my opening says, inches. You want to climb if we want to climb our way out of hell, we have to do it by inches. We can't try to do 10, 20 feet at a time. Inches. Yeah. We gained inches and inches of ground. Dan, we are out of time for today. As always, hanging out and talking with you, is just awesome. You're one of my, you really are a good friend of mine. I've known you for a few years through YouTube and email and stuff and everything you do. Yeah. You are welcome on my show anytime. Give the listeners a spot where they can check you out and get your films really quick.
Well, thanks, man. Everybody can go to pressfortruth.ca. We have all the films online for free. And if you like our work, you want to show your support, you can grab a DVD, and we always make the DVDs very entertaining with a lot of special features. So that if you want to show your support, that's the best way to do it. And once again, all the info is at Press for Truth.
Down the rabbit hole, and I'm your host, Popeye from FederalJack.com. Joining me tonight is my good friend, and he's been on the show before, so I have to say, I don't want to say regular guest, but we'll say past and returning guest. And he will be on more often, as much as I can get him on, the time allows, because he is a very busy man. Please welcome to the show Dan Dix from Press for Truth in Canada. Dan, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up, man? Thanks a lot for having me on again. It's great to be here.
No problem, man. Thank you for coming on again. As always, every time you come on, you're in between visits, there's been 1,001 different things that you're up to, because you're just a super busy individual. So let's start off with your impending visit to the South Korean Film Festival you're going to?
Yes, yeah, that was some news that came in just a little while ago that we've been, for our film, Into the Fire, been accepted into a Korean film festival. So they've graciously offered to bring me down there to attend the festival, which is pretty awesome. I'm pretty excited about the trip. The really wild thing about this is the festival is going to be held in a place called the DMZ, the Demilitarized Zone. It's like this small strip of land along the border of Set, and what sort of footage we get. We might throw together a short film on the 10th anniversary for 9/11. So we also have that coming up next month. So September is looking to be a busy month, and I just found out today, actually, that I got something else coming up in September now. I've been invited to take part in a television program for MTV. They want to shoot a show about rioting. and they want to get some panelists on to give our opinions on what's going on in regards to that. So yeah, I just got that email today, so that's pretty cool too. All these things are all coming up in September, so I'm looking forward to it.
And having you on that panel will be awesome because you'll be able to interject some truth and some real issues into there. Not allow them to hijack it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know who exactly is going to be on the panel with me, but I'm going to have to be there to inject some truth into the, it's the MTV generation. It's they use that program to brainwash people, but I'm more than willing to hop on there to help combat that situation. So they had me on there last year, actually, for a special on the G20. And they liked what I had to say, so they decided to bring me.
Because we know when we add up all those inches, that's going to make the fucking difference between winning and losing. Between living and dying. I'll tell you this, in any fight, it's the guy who's willing to die who's going to win that inch. And I know if I'm going to have any life anymore, it's because I'm still willing to fight and die for that inch. Because that's what living is. There's 6 inches in front of your face. Now, I can't make you do it. You gotta look at the guy next to you. Look into his eyes. Now, I think you're gonna see a guy who will go that inch with you. You're gonna see a guy who will sacrifice himself for this team because he knows when it comes down to it, you're going to do the same for him. That's a team, gentlemen. And either we heal now as a team, or we will die as individuals.
Ideas are bulletproof.
Welcome to the show, guys. It is Wednesday, August 24th, 2011. This is
by inch, play by play, till we're finished. We're in hell right now, gentlemen. Believe me. And we can stay here, get the shit kicked out of us, or we can fight our way back into the light. We can climb out of hell. 1 inch at a time. When you get old in life, things get taken from you. That's part of life. But you only learn that when you start losing stuff. You find out life's this game of inches. So is football. Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, 1/2 a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us. They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second. On this team, we fight for that inch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw our fingernails for that inch.
South and North Korea, that they kind of jointly own it. And so that's where this film festival is going to be taking place. So I'm pretty excited to be going down in an area like that. This border is apparently the most highly militarized border in the entire world, and I'm going to be presenting my film on the police state down there because obviously they're very interested in it. They just had the G20 summit come to Seoul, Korea, right after it was in Toronto. So they're very interested in the film, enough that they're going to bring me down there. So that's not until September. I go there September 22nd to the 28th. So it's a little ways away yet, but yeah, I'm super excited for that.
Are you going to be, you said you're going to be covering the international, I guess, investigation into 9/11, correct? Now that's going to be in Canada, or where's that going to be?
Yeah, it's being held in Toronto at Ryerson University. It's a 4-day event. It takes place September 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. And if anybody wants more information on that, they can go to torontohearings.org. But the people putting it on have asked that we cover the event, and so we'll be putting out videos as soon as we can, and then depending on, I suppose, how the hearings go and what kind of interviews we